Hi friends, welcome to the 8th lecture of Let's Excel series at TrendBends. Let's move to Excel. As you can see, I have some data captured here. This pertains to some students' records, and they all are in standard 10th and they have secured some marks here. So the result is out, and we need to work upon this data. So this data is currently not formatted, and there are no formulas in place. It is just crude raw data. What we need to do here is first let's make this data a bit presentable, and then we'll work with some formulas. So first of all, let me just select this particular area, and I'll click on bold here so that this is bold enough. So if you see, this is the button which I clicked, which says B. uh, the hint has also come in there which says bold. It is a toggle button. Toggle means when you toggle, so it's off. When you toggle it on, it's on. So it's working, it's reflecting whatever it is meant to do. Now let's make some border for this, and let's make a grid. So we'll click on borders and we'll select all borders, and let me italicize this. I want this in italics, so I'll go and click on I, and I want to underline this, so let's click on underline. So this is our data as of now, and let me also increase the column length and make it equal for all of them. So I'll select the entire sheet, and I'll drag this cross button, and this is how it looks. Let me reduce it a bit. So this is the data. Now I want this to be center aligned. I'll click here. I want this also center aligned. I click here. I want my entire data to be in the middle of a cell. So I click on here. So as you can see, this is the top, this is middle, and this is bottom. So let's keep it at top. A middle is also fine. Now let's change the colors a bit. I want that English should be in the self should be filled with blue, and this should be in, say, yellow. This should be again blue. So I'll first make this as yellow and this as yellow, and I'll make this as blue. So we have colored it also, and I want my subject this to be center aligned, and I want them to appear in, say, dark, probably say red in color. So I'll select this. So this is how we have made some we have done formatting of some data. Now let's add some columns here. So first we need to calculate the total of all the marks which a student has secured. So let me add a title here. This is total. So you see I have just typed in total, and it has automatically picked up the formatting from the previous cell. Now so we'll put in the formula here. So the formula for totaling up some numbers is sum, as we have seen earlier. We'll open the bracket. Now look carefully, guys. Here it says number one. This whenever when I have opened the bracket, it says number one. So it is asking for me to pass an argument. So this is a function. So this function has been defined by Microsoft people. The developers at Microsoft have developed a lot of functions which we call formulas in case of Microsoft Excel. And whenever there are parentheses, so functions have parentheses in them, and they may or may not accept parameters. So for example, in this case, number one is just right after the opening bracket, but after that you see number two, which is in square brackets. So whenever data is in square brackets, that means it is an optional data. What does it mean? For example, if I just click on 100, so this cell I2, and I close the bracket, it will take the value. So there's no error has been generated, and we have seen in the previous session that whenever a error is generated, it begins with hash. So it begins with this particular character. So it has not shown any kind of errors. That means it is working. So, but what do we want? We want to calculate the entire sum. So we want a range of it. So we'll select, we can press a colon and we will select D2. So it has automatically picked up the data till here and we'll press enter. And we will double click on the fill handle. Automatically all the calculation our Excel has done. Now let's remove this, ignore these errors. We'll right click, we'll click on this and click on ignore error. Now second thing which we want to do is calculate how many, what is the total marks. So we'll just put in the value is, so each of the subject was of 100 marks. So let's write maximum marks here, and each of them is there are 6 subjects, 1 2 3 4 5 6, so maximum marks would be 600. So I'll just copy paste this. Now how I've done that, so I'll just repeat that. I have selected this cell, I have dragged at the bottom through shift and down key. I have pressed shift and down key to go and select the entire range, and then I press Control D or Command D in case of Mac users. So the entire data which was there in the first cell will be copied in the entire selected range. Let's calculate the percentage in here, how much percentage of a student has secured. So uh, as we know, there is no formula for percentage in the case of Excel, so we'll just divide the value from the total marks which a student has secured from the maximum marks possible, and we'll click on enter. So it will show decimal value because currently it is the settings, the kind of number format we haven't defined yet. So let me just pull it down first, and we will convert it into a percentage. So we'll click here and it has converted into percentage. Now comes the next formula. If we have to assign a grade to each student, how do we do that? So here we will use the if function. Before I talk about if function, I would like to talk about the thing about parentheses. So as I had said that all these formulas which are predefined in case of Microsoft Excel, so they are basically functions in programming language, and the developers at Microsoft have develop these functions which we call formulas. Now each function, whenever we write something, so for example if we have written sum here, when I open the bracket it tells that there are certain arguments to be passed. Some of them may be mandatory and some of them would be optional. So if anything is optional, that is shown in square brackets. If it is mandatory, it is shown in it is not shown in square brackets. Let's look at another formula, that is if. So in case of if I open the bracket, you see the first condition is logical test, but after that it is in square brackets. So the whatever is the second argument or the third argument, they are optional. So for example, if I say if 5 is greater than 3 and I close it and I don't pass any of the, this is the logical test which I am doing by using the logical operator greater than sign, and I have not passed any of the values which were to be given after the comma. So for example, if I had given comma, so I had to assign a true value or a false value. So I haven't done anything, I have closed it. So you see it is not giving me an error. So let's, however, when we will be using the if condition, we will obviously define what will happen in case it is true and what will happen in case it is false. So let's, we will be doing that when we assign the grades to each of these students. Now another thing is, I had mentioned that the arguments are either mandatory or optional. So let's look at formula set today. So let me open the bracket and you see the suggestion tool has also shown me that there is no argument which needs to be passed. So I'll just close the bracket and I'll press enter, and today's date is displayed here. So it totally depends upon what kind of formula you are using. The suggestion tool from the hint which comes up whenever you are typing a formula will tell you how many arguments needs to be passed. Now let's go back to the if condition and let's assign some grades here. So what I'll do, I'll assign if and I'll put the logical test. So what if the student has secured more than 90% in the as the percentage of the total marks, that person will get A grade. So whenever I put in text, I will have to put it in inverted commas. So the person gets an A, otherwise the person gets a B. And I'll close this and let's drag this. So see, any student who has secured more than 90% has got A grade, rest of them have got B grade. What if I want to assign certain range? What if I want that any person who has secured more than 70 should get B, more than 50 should get C, and rest should get D? So how do we do that? That is possible via nested if conditions. Now, what is nested if? So we'll go back to this formula again, the one which is there. Let's do this in the formula bar this time. So I'll remove this. So let's understand what is written so far. So the first condition is written that if the percentage is greater than 90%, the student will be awarded A grade. If not, so that means the marks are less than 90, less than or equal to 90. What will happen in that case? We will again put in a condition and we'll write if, we'll open the bracket again and we'll say if L2, that is the cell address, is greater than 70. So it is not greater than 90 because the first condition is already failed. Now it is, we are testing for another set. If it is greater than 70, let's give B. Otherwise, we'll again check for an if condition, which is if L2 is greater than 50%, comma, I'll have to assign percent here also because the data is in percentage format. The student will get C, otherwise the student has failed. And we'll close the brackets. Now we have to keep a count of the brackets. So one good thing which Excel does is it colors the different brackets. So you can see the first bracket is purple in color, second is red in color, and third one is white in color. So you can ensure you have mentioned the right number of brackets at the end or not. Let's put an enter and let's drag this. So you see the grades have been automatically assigned to each of the students. Let's put this in a grid format so that it is in the same way, and let's assign this. That's it, guys. I hope you like the if condition and the how the formulas and functions work. We'll be looking at many formulas later in the coming series. Until then, gracias and adios. Keep liking our videos. Hasta luego.